Most people think heart attacks announce themselves. Chest pain, left arm going numb, a dramatic collapse. That's what the movies show. That's what most people expect.
Nice.
But after 60, the most dangerous cardiac events are the quiet ones, the ones that build slowly while you sleep. No warning, no time to call for help, no second chance. And here is what shocks most of my patients when I tell them this in the recovery room. Those events are almost always triggered by something ordinary, something completely unremarkable, something you did before turning off the light. I'm Dr. Adewale. I'm a cardiac surgeon. I've spent over 20 years opening chests, repairing arteries, and holding hearts in my hands. I've also spent 20 years watching the same preventable patterns repeat themselves over and over in patients who had no idea what they were doing to themselves every single night. Tonight, I'm going to show you 5 of those patterns, 5 habits that are quietly loading the gun while you sleep. And then I'll show you exactly how to unload it, one simple evening at a time. Stay with me. What you learn in the next few minutes may be the most important thing you hear this year. Here's something most people don't know. Your cardiovascular system doesn't take a break when you fall asleep. It shifts gears. In a healthy body, nighttime is when your blood pressure naturally dips, usually 10 to 20% lower than during the day. Your heart rate slows. Your arteries relax. It's a biological reset, a form of maintenance the body has been running for your entire life. But after 60, that system becomes less reliable. The blood vessels stiffen. The pressure regulation gets less precise. Certain hormonal signals that used to protect the heart at night, they start to weaken. And the margin for error gets much, much smaller. Think of it this way. During the day, your cardiovascular system has backup mechanisms. It can compensate.
Well done.
It can adapt. At night, many of those mechanisms are offline. The body is running on a skeleton crew. That's what makes the night different after 60. That's why the hours between midnight and 6 in the morning carry the highest risk of heart attack and stroke for people over 60. Not the afternoon, not the morning rush. The quiet hours. The hours when no one is watching, but your habits are. Now here's the part that changes everything. What happens during those dangerous hours is largely determined by what you did before bed, the meal you ate, the pill you took or didn't take, the temperature in your room, decisions that felt completely routine. That's what we're going to talk about, starting right now with the one that surprises my patients the most. Let me ask you something. What time did you eat dinner last night? And what was on the plate? I ask every patient that question, and for a surprising number of people over 60, the answer is somewhere around 8 or 9 at night, sometimes 10 at night. A full meal, pasta, rice, meat, maybe something fried, followed by the couch, then bed within an hour or two. I understand why it happens. Busy days, family schedules, the habit of a lifetime. But from a cardiac standpoint, this habit is quietly harming your heart. A heavy meal late at night is one of the most underestimated stresses your heart faces. Here's what's happening inside your body. When you eat a large meal, your digestive system demands an enormous increase in blood flow. Your heart has to pump harder. Blood pressure rises. Triglycerides, the fats in your blood, spike sharply within 2 to 4 hours after eating. Now layer that on top of going to sleep. Your body expects the evening to be a wind down, not an all-hands cardiovascular emergency. Instead, your heart is working overtime to digest a full dinner, while simultaneously trying to shift into its nighttime recovery mode. Those two demands are in direct conflict. And in a person over 60 with any degree of arterial stiffness, that conflict has real consequences. Studies have consistently shown that eating within 2 to 3 hours of sleep is associated with elevated nighttime blood pressure, higher rates of acid reflux that can mimic and trigger cardiac symptoms, and increased risk of cardiovascular events during sleep. The fix is not complicated. Finish your main meal by 6 or 7 in the evening. Keep late meals light, protein and vegetables, not heavy fats. Does your dinner schedule look anything like what I just described? You'd be surprised how many people answer yes and never connected it to their heart. Now this one, I need you to take very seriously, because this is where the most preventable damage happens in my clinical experience. If you are over 60 and you take medication for high blood pressure, statistically, more than 60% of people in that age group do. The timing of that medication matters enormously. more than most doctors take time to explain. For most people, blood pressure follows a predictable curve through the day. It rises in the morning, peaks in the afternoon, dips at night. But a significant portion of people over 60, particularly those with hypertension, don't get that nighttime dip. Their pressure stays elevated, or it actually surges during the early morning hours. This condition is called nocturnal hypertension, and most people have never heard of it, and it is dangerous in ways that daytime high blood pressure is not. While you sleep, the arterial walls are not braced for impact. A pressure surge at 3 in the morning hits the arterial walls very differently than one at 3 in the afternoon. It's more likely to rupture a vulnerable plaque inside a coronary artery, more likely to trigger clot formation, more likely to send someone to my table. If you take your blood pressure medication only in the morning, it may wear off by the time you need it most. If you forget it entirely, you may be leaving yourself completely unprotected during the most vulnerable hours of the night. What should you do? Talk to your doctor specifically about timing. Ask whether your medication should be taken at night rather than in the morning. The conversation takes 2 minutes. It could save your life. There is strong evidence, including the Hygeia chronotherapy trial, that evening dosing of blood pressure medication significantly reduces cardiovascular risk during sleep. That is not a minor adjustment. That is a potentially life-saving conversation to have. Don't assume the timing doesn't matter. In cardiology, timing can be the entire difference. And most patients over 60 have never once had this conversation with their doctor. I want you to think about someone you know who snores. A spouse, a parent, maybe yourself. That sound, that loud, irregular rumbling in the night, most people treat it as an annoyance, something to laugh about.